Okay, we're just going to walk through how to do a hover drop-down menu on your websites. So that's where we would hover over, say, that products feature where we can select some products. I believe we have 4 to work with, but there's just 3 in this instance. But we also, in addition to have a hover when we are going over each of those items. The only limitation is we do have to click to make that disappear. Not a big deal. So I just gone ahead and created a box here. What I do want to know is making sure that when we are adding our type in there, if we do intend to have this centered, say within a button, always make sure you're in text center alignment, because this way, if I need to change this copy, um, it still will always be centered within this box. Another way we can ensure we do that is with our auto layout, where we can set how much padding we want around that. So say for instance, now if I do a return and I need to add additional copy, it still adds that same padding around there. What I have heard is it does create some grief for some people while you're getting used to it. So you can use those as you would like. So just for now, let's go ahead and group that up, and we're going to make that a component. So we're going to call this testing product button. And then we'll go ahead and add a variant to that. And we'll call this hover. And then from here, that's where we can adjust if what we want that hover to look like. Maybe it's a subtle color change. Maybe we're adding a little bit of bolding to that type. Anything you would like. You can also, just as a side note, let's just duplicate this over. So say, for instance, we do want to have this sort of technique, but we actually don't physically want to have a color behind it. You could, in fact, just go ahead and do everything here, but just remove that color. So then we would essentially go ahead and make this black. And then same thing with the hover. It could be that as well. So you're not limited to, you would just keep the box in this, but just remove the color so you don't physically see it. Okay, so next we're going to go over to our assets. We're going to find that component that we just made, and we're going to drag it over, not onto our artboard, off to the side. So now we have it off to the side, and we're going to just go Command Option Shift to just drag it down and duplicate. So if I have 4 menu options I want, again, I believe we have, or if I have 3 or 4, etc., make sure you work with the project. So we'll call this flower, beverage, whoopsies. And see, that's where that that center alignment type is coming in handy. And accessories. I believe edibles was the last one. So now what we need to do is we want to go ahead and click to drag. So we're selecting all of these. We're going to group them up. And now we're going to right click and say frame selection, just like we did when we created the side scroll. So we frame the selection, and let's call this now products drop down. So we have products drop down here. So again, we're not going to move that over onto our page. Again, we're just going to go ahead and take that products button, and we'll move that onto our page. So once I move on to that page, now I'm going to go over to the prototype menu, and I need to link these two up as my hover. So I'm going to go over to that little blue plus sign and drag it down here. On click, we're going to say while hovering. So now this hover action has been sent or set. And now what we also want to do is we want to go over to that button, and we're going to hit that plus sign, and we're going to link it over to our drop down. What we want to do, instead of on click, we're going to call this mouse enter, and we're going to open as an overlay. We also want to have this set as center so we can adjust where we want that to open, but this is actually working just fine. And then we do want to click that little button that says close when clicking outside. Now when we press home, we're going to press play, and we should have all of that functioning. Last but not least, all we would need to do to link up our pages is we'll just go ahead. I just have a tester one already done here. So using that frame that we have as our drop down, you're just going to select, say, flower, and use from your prototype menu, use your plus sign and say link it to your flower menu. Beverages, obviously linked over to my beverages page, sorry, not menu. And we're able to integrate those hover techniques. If I click flower, I'm over on flower. beverages, accessories, etc.